MMT, or modern monetary theory, is an economic theory that has gained attention in recent years. MMT economists argue that countries that issue their own sovereign currency, like the United States, Japan, Australia, and many others, can never run out of money in the way that households or businesses can. Instead, they argue that these countries can always create more money to finance their spending and can never go bankrupt in their own currency. According to MMT, the government's spending power is constrained not by the availability of money, but by the availability of real resources such as labor, materials, and equipment. The theory argues that governments can and should use their spending power to pursue full employment, universal healthcare, education, and other public goods, and that deficits and debt are not inherently problematic as long as they do not result in inflation or other economic problems. MMT has been a subject of debate among economists, with some arguing that the theory is not grounded in economic reality and that it could lead to inflation or other problems. Others argue that MMT provides a useful framework for understanding the role of money and government spending in the economy and that it could provide a path forward for policies that prioritize full employment and social welfare. #Inflation and how MMT counter. According to MMT, inflation occurs when there is excess demand in the economy relative to supply. This can happen when there is too much money chasing too few goods and services. In other words, inflation is caused by an imbalance between the demand for and supply of goods and services in the economy. MMT argues that government spending does not necessarily cause inflation because it can increase the supply of goods and services in the economy. For example, if the government invests in infrastructure, it can create jobs and increase the production of goods and services, which can help to balance the economy and prevent inflation. Similarly, if the government spends money on education or healthcare, it can improve the quality and productivity of the workforce, which can also increase the supply of goods and services. Moreover, MMT argues that inflation can be controlled through other means, such as taxation and interest rates. For example, if the government increases taxes or raises interest rates, it can reduce demand in the economy and prevent inflation from getting out of control. #MMT and deficit. In MMT, deficits are not necessarily seen as bad, as they are simply a reflection of the government's spending and tax policies. MMT argues that a government that controls its own currency can never run out of money, and therefore can run deficits without fear of insolvency. MMT suggests that deficits can be used to stimulate the economy and achieve full employment. For example, if the economy is operating below its full potential and there are unemployed resources, the government can increase spending to create jobs and increase economic activity. This can help to increase tax revenue and reduce the deficit over time. MMT also argues that deficits can be used to invest in public goods and services, such as education, healthcare, and infrastructure. These investments can improve the quality and productivity of the workforce, increase the supply of goods and services, and create long-term benefits for the economy. Moreover, MMT suggests that deficits can be controlled through other means, such as taxation and interest rates. If inflation becomes a concern, the government can use taxation to reduce demand in the economy and prevent inflation from getting out of control. Alternatively, the government can use interest rates to control the cost of borrowing and limit the growth of the deficit.